Talk to me. Oh my god. Hello, citizens of Stinktopia. It is smelling so stinky in here. I have to stop with these intros. Let me just be frank with all of you. Let me be Lisa Frank. I really had no ideas for a video this week. It's only Wednesday today, but normally I record on Mondays. And so I was just like, maybe there's no video this week. I don't know. Nothing is striking me as a good idea. Frankly, I don't want to write a script right now. I don't want to find a movie to watch and talk about it. I don't want to have to watch an entire movie just to take notes on it to, do a retrospective on it this week. But I got to thinking, what movie did I just recently see in theaters? If you said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, technically you're correct, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about, you guessed it, maybe you didn't, yes you did, Talk to Me. And, in light of it being greenlit for a sequel, got greenlit for a sequel just recently. So it's as good as time as ever to talk about that movie. I saw it on a Monday night. Weird time to see it, yes, I agree. But I went with my friend. We went to really not a nice theater that they don't know how to equalize their volume, and so the movie was aggressively loud. That's happened every movie I've seen there. But the tickets are only like $7. Not even. They're like $5. I think so. I don't know. I just know it's cheap and that's why we go there. Yeah, so I picked up my friend in my mom's Equinox. I whipped the ride and I arrived at the theater. The entire movie I was worried I didn't lock my car though. It was locked, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I want to talk about that movie. And I didn't take any notes while watching it. I haven't went back to the theater to watch it since. So obviously I'm going to miss some things, but these are just my thoughts and feelings on how I felt about the movie. Um so yeah, let's stop goofing around and talk about Talk to Me. Hi everybody, I just started editing this video. And I just want to preface a few things that I forgot to mention in the video. First of all, there will be spoilers for the movie, so the first little half is kind of spoiler free-ish. I do say in the video, when I'm going to get into, decent spoilers. But if you don't want to know anything about the movie, any thoughts, then be warned. But also, this video isn't going to have, a lot of clips of Talk to Me thrown in there, just because it's still in theaters, it's not streaming. I took some stuff from, the trailers, but also, if you want to watch the trailers are actually really good and suit the movie well. I don't love trailers for movies most of the times, but I think Talk to Me has pretty good trailers. But yeah, so this video is just gonna kind of be talking, you know, because I can't really put in any secondary clips of the movie just because it's not out of theaters yet. So that's why. My apologies. But also I didn't want to try finding clips of people recording it because that just feels wrong to me. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. So if you want to see what it looks like, maybe go see it in theaters. All right, bye. I want to get this out of the way. Do I think that Talk to Me was the scariest movie ever? No. Maybe scariest movie of the year, which it's proclaiming to be. If something truly frightening doesn't come out, but I will say, in my perspective, it wasn't that scary. Um, I I've been pretty desensitized to a lot of horror. The only thing I can't watch is lobotomy scenes. We all have our things. I've talked about it a plethora of times now, but grew up watching horror. Probably some of the first movies, besides like Elmo, I ever watched were like classic horror movies. Um, I mean, like the Universal monsters. That was such a like staple in my house with my mom, and so I've been very much in that scene, in that mindset for the whole 19 years of my life. There was like a little piece of time where I was like, no, I don't like horror movies, like blah, blah, blah. And then I got over myself and um came into the realization that yeah, they're good. Sure, is the genre kind of but sometimes? Yeah. Yeah, it is. But when when you're a horror movie fan and a good horror movie comes out, that makes it all the better because then you're like, I waited years for a good movie to actually come out that wasn't kind of bad. Um, but that's how I feel about Talk to Me. Talk to Me was actually a genuinely good movie. Um, if like one of my other friends was like, "Hey, do you want to go see this?" I would see it again. I sometimes have issues, and I can leave that sentence there, and it's still correct. No, I sometimes don't want to rewatch movies just because I'll rewatch shows that I don't care about, but movies sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Um, but this movie I would like go back to the theater and watch with somebody. I don't like going to the movie theater alone, so that's why I'm not saying I'd go back and watch it myself. Okay, so I have to go with somebody. Yeah, so let's actually talk about the movie. The friend I was with, they they thought it was scary, but also, you know, not in my mindset. I'm built different. I'm stronger. I'm better. And I'm joking. Um, but they thought it was scary. I honestly, the thing I found scariest about that movie was just how loud that theater made that movie. That's what was scary. And the guy next to me kept like fidgeting. He put his stuff on the seat next to me. Actually no, it was like one seat away from me, but he put his stuff on the empty seat, but like that was between us, and he kept like fidgeting with all of it, and that was scary because I was like, something's right next to me, isn't it? And I thought I was gonna die, and then the whole movie I thought my car was gonna get broken into, and I was gonna have to call my mom and be like, "Hi, mom, I accidentally left your car unlocked, and now you have to drive like an hour to come get me and my friend." But it wasn't. So, would I love to see that movie without having to worry about my car getting stolen? Absolutely. But I think this movie is a very good um, installment in the horror genre. And why do I think that? Because we've always seen, like possession, demonic, ghostly, paranormal stuff, like with Ouija boards and stuff. But I think having it be like a different vessel of that is very interesting. And is that like a real thing within Australian culture? I have no idea. I didn't look up anything. So, could this be like a real actual thing that people do? I don't know. Maybe. People do anything they want. So, maybe. When I was watching it, I don't know the age of any of the cast members. But when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, they play good teenagers. I felt they were good teenagers. Could they have been teenagers? Maybe. I don't know. And I will not look that up. But it was very believable that they were in high school. Except for that one guy. He looked like he was like pushing 30. And I don't know how old he was supposed to be in the movie. So he could be, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it wasn't like a Riverdale situation where you're like, these are almost 30-year-olds in high school playing with a hand. I also think the cinematography of this movie was really good Because sometimes you see a horror movie and it does have a good premise, but the way it's shot is so janky. And frankly, I could make a better movie on my phone, you know? It's like that kind of that type of deal. I've seen a lot of movies like that where the premise is really good, but it looks like it's found footage, which is a genre I don't really like, but we can get into that not in this video, but it looks like it took so much inspiration from found footage, but then you learn it's not a found footage movie and you're like, huh? You're like, so then why does it look like it's a found footage movie? That was not the case here, obviously. The production of it was really good. I think the scene, the musical scene where they're all at that one girl's house and they're talking to the hand, and it goes with the music. I think that was like super well done. I'm not speaking any justice to it, but it sometimes scenes like those feel out of place in a movie, but that one just like meshed in so well where I was like, yeah, this is good. But now I do actually want to get into some spoilers of more story stuff. First of all, I don't remember any of the characters' names. That was also an issue. I think there's Mia, and that's the only one I know. And I don't even remember if Mia is the main character. First of all, I spent a lot of the movie thinking that the two girls, Mia and then her friend, were gonna be like lesbian lovers. I was like, yeah, they're gonna kiss. They never kissed. But that's completely besides the point. I was just really hoping they were gonna be lesbians. At least queer. They weren't. The metaphor that they were trying to push with this movie of the hand is obviously a metaphor for addiction to drugs, and how within your grieving process, you know, something can become so highly addictive. That's the case within any process. Me right now could become addicted to something. And I'm not even grieving anything. I mean, maybe I'm grieving how I've wasted my teen years and how I don't do anything with my life, but that's not here nor there. While it is done well, it is such a hit over the head of we get it, but sometimes you do really have to push a metaphor like that, because some people, maybe they don't get it. But as me and my friend, when we got back to my car, you were discussing the film. You put two film girls in a car who just watched a movie together. We're gonna talk about the movie. But yeah, we were kind of just I mean, it was good. We did say that, but we were both yeah, while the metaphor is good, it's just so blatantly there. And I don't entirely think that's a bad thing. But it's also just oh my god, she had horrible friends. I told my friend, I was like, okay, if I was ever in this situation, I hope to God you would see that something's wrong with me. I really hope you would see something's wrong with me and just try to help a girl out, I don't have many friends, but I hope the friends I do have, they'd be like, hey girl, you're becoming addicted to talking to ghosts with this hand. And also, your mom died. You're in a grieving process and you're becoming addicted to talking to her ghost. Please get help. But no one said that to her. Everyone just kept letting her go. But then I think that can also be a statement of even though you think your friends are really good, sometimes they're blind to stuff happening in your life. And it is even stated with her friend. It's within when they're talking to the hand, but it was you're so preoccupied with trying to hook up with your boyfriend who doesn't want to hook up with you, because he's a good Christian boy, which I appreciate because I'm ordained. Fun fact, I'm a reverend actually. So love that good Christian boy representation. And that's not a joke. I actually am ordained within the state of Minnesota. I don't know if that's like I can now let anyone get married within any state or just Minnesota, but me and my roommate are both ordained. So you know who to hit up if you need a wedding. But yeah, I think that was to show like it could be your best friend in the world and they'll still be blind. They could still be blind to something so obviously happening in your life. And then like even after she's like, this is a problem, the friend. I should have looked up their names before recording this, but her friend, her little brother, talks to the hand because Mia lets him, but then it goes on too long because the brother, he is able to like connect with the mom. And then she's like, keep him in there, and then, you know, the demons, the souls, I don't want to call them demons, that seems wrong. The spirits, they, you know, take possession over the kid because he's in the hand too long, and then, you know, he starts like bashing his head on stuff, which was like a really jarring scene. And I think that was like directly after the little music montage. I think like the juxtaposition of those two scenes going back to back, that was really good. I really did like that because, you know, you're like kind of put into this false sense of security of like, oh, silly little music montage, and then it's some kid bashing his head into like a table and then the wall and then his own sister's hand, which ends up like, you know, knocking him out without killing him. But like it breaks his sister's hand. And you're like, oh my god, that boy put some force behind that. But even at that point, Mia's friend was like, why would you do this? But in an Australian accent. And I can't do an Australian accent, so I'm not even going to try to jokingly do that. I can only make jokes about H2O, just add water. I can remember be like, Cleo, no, the condensation. And that's all I got. But, but yeah, she was just like, why would you let him in? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and first of all, if she really didn't want her brother to do anything, she should have just, like, taken him out of the room, you know? But, I don't know. But even, like, after that, she's like, you know, you shouldn't have let my brother do that. And you were being so selfish, whatever. But it still never brought up to the point of, like, this is becoming unhealthy for you. And then, you know, Mia takes the hand, runs away with it, brings it home. Then we get, the toe-sucking scene, which made me very uncomfortable. I'm glad I had shoes on in the movie theater. But, I have nothing to say about that scene. Just you. I don't want anyone sucking on my toes like that, girl. I also do like the fact that, like, the plot point of, you know, the spirits can manipulate you, which I think is, like, good, because it did throw me off a little bit, actually, where Mia's dad was like, okay, I found your mom's, like, suicide note, which also I don't understand the, like, scratching, thing. I still don't get that, but I don't know. I love movies and I love really looking into them, but sometimes, especially when I can't rewatch them, stuff like that kind of just is put on the back burner of my mind. And then once it gets to streaming, or if I watch some other, like, video essays, retrospectives about the movie, then I'll finally be like, oh, okay, yeah, that was really simple. I don't know why I didn't piece that together. But yeah, so we as the audience learned that, like, her mom wrote a suicide note, but she's like, no, mom told me in her ghost form that she didn't kill herself, she would never do that. But then, you know, at the end of the movie, it's like, okay, so the spirits can manipulate you to really do their bidding, and especially in such a fragile state like Mia was in. I mean, like, she was literally grieving, and her friend's brother was like genuinely also her friend. Like they had a really good relationship, and so she was also feeling guilt from letting that happen to him. She was also still grieving her dead mom, who she can now see as a ghost. Now she's being haunted by like random spirits. That's why she was sucking on the guy's foot. Yeah. And the funniest thing is I didn't fully pick that up while watching, and then I was talking to my friend about it in the car, and they're just like, yeah, no, it's because like all the spirits who were trying to get into that kid's body, like they needed him to be dead. And so that's why Mia's mom's ghost, was like, you have to kill him, like, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, they all wanted possession over this kid, and her mom wasn't really trying to help, but just trying to manipulate her into doing what they needed to be done, which was killing the kid. For some reason, I didn't pick that up in the movie. Now looking back after my friend said that, I was like, oh, shit, yeah, no, that's totally what they were trying to get at. But I left the theater, I was like, huh, that's weird. And then when I asked about it, they were just like, yeah, no, like, it was supposed to be this. And I was like, oh, I'm so stupid for not realizing that. Which is why I like seeing movies with other people who are also into movies. So they can point out how stupid my brain is sometimes. I did genuinely think, like, end of the movie, it was going to become this full circle thing of, at the beginning, Mia had to pick up her friend's brother, and then they come across a kangaroo that got hit, which is most Australian thing ever. If you didn't know this movie was on in Australia, there's a dying kangaroo on the road. She isn't able to put it out of its misery, and so that she tries to kill the brother in his hospital room with like a pair of scissors, because she just killed her dad. I mean, she was being manipulated by, the ghosts at that point, and she thought something was attacking her, but then her dad came in, and then, which I think he actually survived, which was the most surprising thing of that movie. Yeah, she thought she killed her dad, and so she goes to the kid's hospital room, and she goes to kill him, but she can't, which I was like, okay, so this is like a full circle thing of, her not being able to kill the kangaroo on the road. And she says there'll be another car when, when she drives past the kangaroo. And the kid's just like, no, you would literally have to put it out of its misery. Like, please put it out of its misery. Which is, like, basically the situation that they're in right now. But then she goes to the highway by the hospital. She wheels that little boy. And I was like, oh, this is going to be the other car. It's going to put him out of his misery. And this is going to be a very upsetting ending. But she jumps. And she dies. She gets hit by the car. To, offer up herself instead of the kid. Because, she's feeling guilt, blah, 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 blah. I think she finally realizes that the ghosts were manipulating her, and so she's like, fuck it! She already thinks, like, she's lost everyone in her life. So she just throws herself into the oncoming cars. She gets hit, she dies. But yeah, and then it's shown at the end, she's, like, walking around the hospital. The kid is healed. He is doing great. He is going back home with his mom and sister. And also, I think the mom in this movie was one of the aunts in Sabrina. I don't know if I'm right about that, but she looked very familiar. Yeah, so she's like walking around. She isn't able to communicate with anyone because she's dead. She sees her dad leaving the hospital. She tries to be like, Dad, please come back, please. And she sees, the friends leaving, whatever. Then she walks into a dark room. She sees a hand. She hands it. She holds it. Now she's one of the talk to me ghosts. Oh, perf ending, literally. I do think the way that hospital scene was shot, really good, really ominous. I was like, ooh, this is a little frightening. This is a little spooky. And then like the black room with just the light on the hand. I was like, oh, this is good. I like this set design. That's the end of the movie, which I'm very curious about, like, how the sequel is going to take place. Because personally, if I was any of them, I would literally blow up that hand. But that's not here nor there. I'm not in that situation. My mom has one rule for me, and my mom technically has two rules for me. I can't be bald, and I can't mess with Ouija boards, which both I'm doing good with. I don't mess with that, you know. I do believe in ghosts or spirits of some sort. I don't believe in like the very, commercialized version of what a ghost is, but I more believe in like spirits and especially like untimely death type deal. So, yeah, I don't mess with Ouija boards. I don't mess with Luigi boards. Yeah, so that was Talk to Me, and I think it was a really good movie. Do I think it was like the scariest movie I've ever seen? No, but I do like how it didn't take in the fear factor of like just cheap scares, you know? Because I feel like this movie could have really just went into like the cheap scare route. But it didn't, and I was really glad about that. Now, if you ask me what's the scariest movie I've ever seen, I cannot give you an answer. This one, though, it did have me like a little like on edge, so I will say this was a really effective movie. I love almost everything about the movie. Sometimes I felt the script was okay, but also I feel that way about a lot of Australian productions, and I think that's just because I'm not from Australia, okay? They have different, it's like a whole different world over there. Yeah, do I think the movie was good? Absolutely. I think A24 picking up this movie was a fantastic idea, and I think the production team did a really, really good job. I'm really glad it got picked up by like a major indie film production like A24. I really like A24. I look like the type of person to like A24, and you'd be exactly right on that. A lot of my favorite movies are A24 movies, so I can't help that. They make good movies. They make really good movies. So I think everyone really knocked it out of the park. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go watch it. And I think it's doing really, really well for coming out. It didn't come out Barbenheimer weekend, but it came out like relatively quickly after. So I think in wake of still Barbenheimer, it's doing really, really well, especially for a horror movie that came out in the summer and being like an indie film, technically. The two guys who directed it, like the creators of it, aren't really big names, you know? So I understand why people would be hesitant to go. But yeah, I think supporting films like this is a great way to support writers and actors and production teams during the strike, which is also a really big reason on why I want to talk about it, because although I am not important at all within anything of WGA and SAG-AFTRA, I think it's still important to support those people in the best way possible, because yes, they aren't, essential jobs, but everybody who can does consume shows and movies, and that industry would be nothing without its writers and its actors. Because yes, you can have actors, but the actors are only as good as the script they're given. So writers have to be able to live if they want to make good scripts. And I think that the companies are being really shady and not good with this, because they are multi-billion-dollar companies refusing to give up some of their profit. Like A24 meets the demands. It's not that hard to just, pay people a living wage. Like, we have become a society that thrives on art and creative pieces like television and movies, and to treat those people like they're nothing is heinous. So I think bringing light to a very successful movie from A24, who, is being able to greenlit a bunch of indie productions and is like signing waivers for indie productions to keep going since they're meeting demands of, the production and the writers and the cast is really good. And I hope one good thing that comes from this SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike is just the rise in indie films and their popularity, because indie films are good. I honestly get kind of tired of big blockbuster films, and so an indie film here and there is really nice to see. So I'm really hoping that, especially with like big name actors and actresses, being able to do more indie films with the strike, hopefully, more indie films. Woo! Okay. Yeah, that's really it. If you don't support the strike, die. Also, watch Talk to Me. Really good movie.